this content is for kids.
It's not for kids.
Isn't that what I said?
No, it's not for kids. If you are 13 years or younger, this is not for you. Do I have to kill somebody in order to actually make that point across?
No, man, you don't have to kill
Wait
no
a
one.
second.
No.
When we return to our planet, the High Court may well sentence you to torture.
He likes movies, we like movies. Septum Sin versus the world. 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 I'd buy that for $1.
Welcome, tepid viewers, as we dive in to the area that is unknown. Through the politics, crime, and bribery, we will find our way into the Vlogcast. Now, of course, if you want to do a bribe for the Oscars, you don't have to, bribe the Academy. You could bribe Septum Sen or Kotobuki Jake. Or better yet, you could bribe us both. And we'll be glad to pretend that yours is the front runner to the Oscar stardom. Because we know the Academy listens to us every day, don't you? I think so.
Did you call them tepid?
Yeah, well, they could be tepid.
You see, his like fire, and his like ice. And I'm in the middle, kind of like lukewarm water.
Well, this episode on the Vlogcast is going to be very awards-oriented, but I have a couple of things just to throw out. This week on the show, you probably noticed this new format that I have been running, where we have had an episode up every day. There is something going on in this channel Monday through Friday, and it's going to be like that for a while. Every Monday I'm going to make sure to try and do a collection video, which, these stroll videos, and they have been getting some comments and some, the Criterion one took a while, but once people started noticing it, they started noticing it, which was good. And the TV one also got some very quick responses. And next week is going to be the first anime one. And then the week after that, we're going to do the first movie one, and then we're just keep going. Now, the Criterion one, we're going to reach the end of that sometime soon. Because I don't have a lot to cover on the Criterion. But, and the TV will run out not too long after that. But the anime and the movies, however, they'll keep going for a long, long time. Then Tuesdays, we're going to be having, of course, our normal news. We do our updates. And then on Wednesdays, our pickups. But, of course, then there's more. So Thursdays, we're continuing with our Anhedenia project, and we're going to have a new one of those every week for a long time. And then Friday, we do our special video, such as the Vlogcast. And we're going to be doing a lot of vlogcasting, but we're also going to be trying to put up a top 10 next week, which will be our individual choices as performances that we thought should have won the Oscar. Not necessarily for this year, but just, I think, as all-time was. As far as performances, your rules, was it all-time or was it this year that you felt like?
Oh, no, it's through the history of the Oscars.
That's good. That would have limited my my choices. I should see Cats and say, oh yeah, that performance should have been updated.
We could easily have a half-hour discussion just on the people that should have been nominated this year, but yes, there have been some in the past that really needed it.
It'd be hard for me to pick 10 performances that didn't get nominated, but I don't know. I'm sure I've seen at least 10 films this year, but it'd pretty much be like, okay, so out of the two that I could pull
excluding 6 just from Parasite.
Well, that's because you have seen a lot more than I have, even just the one. But I am not.
Not to mention that two of the nominees for Best Actor were Kick-Ass and The Man Who Killed Don Quixote.
I still haven't seen that one yet. There's a lot I have not seen.
Right.
But why don't we dive into it? We've only got an hour. We're already 4 minutes in. I just wanted to update. Did you have any other updates on the channel before we dive in?
Well, on my own channel, I had to return that computer today. I intend to get another one soon. So there's a bit of a delay there. But we'll see.
It will come.
It will come. Yes.
But, well, the good thing about that program is at least you got it as a box. So it's you can take that to the next computer.
Oh, yeah. I haven't even opened it yet.
So, as far as things go, we had some interesting things this year, and we're right on time because we're doing this on the day of the announcements. You're not going to hear this till Friday, but, so it's que sera.
You should push it forward. Make it more timely. But whatever. We'll see. But yes, this year's nominees, as per usual, are a mixed bag of The Usual Suspects, Pleasant Surprises, Holy Crap, What the Hell Were They Thinking? Both snubs and surprises. Some totally uncalled for snubs. It's an interesting mixed bag.
Huh?
And we're ready to kick off?
Let's kick it off. Let's get her started.
Well, get her started with one of the ones that everyone loves, Best Actor in a Leading Role. And here we have the Academy darling who spent years begging, will you please give me an Oscar, until he finally won one for The Revenant, Leonardo DiCaprio. The dude who has said repeatedly and openly that he has no love for the Oscars and thinks they're stupid and still keeps getting nominated, Joaquin Phoenix. And three first-timers. Somehow, Man Who Killed Don Quixote co-stars Adam Driver and Jonathan Pryce have never been nominated before. Pryce is nominated for The Two Popes and Adam Driver for Marriage Story. Incidentally, Phoenix is nominated for The Joker and DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah, that's expected.
And then, in one of the nicest, not really a surprise, but a really nice, long time coming thing, Antonio Banderas is way overdue for an Oscar nomination. He has never been nominated. And like Pryce, he has been in the business for some time. And he is nominated for his role in the new Pedro Almodovar film Pain and Glory, which is a Spanish language role. So double props to him for pulling that off. All right.
Vaya con Dios.
Yes. So, what's your thoughts on that roundup there?
Well, I've done a little bit of research since our last one where I said, oh, look, I've seen a total of 2 of the films in the entire nomination run of the Golden Globes.
And now you've seen more of these than I have.
Well, I have seen 4 out of the 5, so I can actually comment on
I've seen one of the 5.
So I have not seen Pain and Glory.
Yeah.
But Antonio Banderas is a very intense actor, and I'm very happy for him.
Mm-hmm.
Leonardo DiCaprio was... I don't know. I just didn't think that it was it was a good role, but I didn't feel like it was his best role of any, Yeah, Adam Driver did an excellent job in Marriage Story. I agree with that. But Joaquin Phoenix and Jonathan Pryce, to me, were the 2 shining stars. Unless Antonio Banderas blows me away if I ever do see Pain and Glory. Joaquin Phoenix for Joker. I mean, you've seen Joker.
That's the one I can comment on. He was good.
A very intense role. And Jonathan Pryce really knocked it out of the park with his portrayal of Pope, what was it, Francis?
I forget Pope. Which one was which.
He's the current Pope. Whereas Anthony Hopkins was Benedict. Yeah. He was Darth Sidious Pope. But he was Jonathan Pryce did an excellent job with the role. I didn't know he had it in him, so it was really good. And Joaquin Phoenix is an excellent actor, regardless.
I say Price kind of he's had some questionable performances over the years, Brothers Grimm, but he was phenomenal in The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, and he was phenomenal in The Wife. Everyone was talking about Glenn Close, but he was brilliant in the film. So I think he's overdue for some Oscar love.
Yeah.
And he might not win this year, but it's nice to see him up there.
I feel like Joker is going to take it home this
Yeah.
time. I really do think that Joaquin Phoenix really doesn't have... I mean, DiCaprio and Driver, they're good, but not to his level on this. And Jonathan Pryce, to me, is the only one. But you know what? That means the one I haven't seen is going to take it, so it's going to definitely go to Antonio Banderas. But who do you feel is going to win this, just out of your just gut feeling?
As it stands right now, I have a strong feeling that it's going to go to Joker. But if it goes to anyone else, it'll... If it goes to anyone else, it'll probably be Banderas because of that narrative of he's been overdue. And it is supposedly a really, really, really lovely film. It's supposedly a great performance. And the Academy loves Almodovar, so, you know, they don't tend to show it with their nominations, but they do. But Price has a shot, I think. Driver, they'll probably look at him as he is on fire right now, but we're not going to give him the role yet. You know.
Yeah, they'll give it to him.
Yeah.
Well, the Oscars have been known to say, we should give it to him this year, but why don't we just add it to his credit, and we'll add that to whatever movie he's in next year. And Adam Driver has been busy as hell this past year.
He has been. I have not seen Marriage Story, but I have seen The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, and The Dead Don't Die, which he starred in all of those films. Yeah. And I think he had another one out, too. And he was brilliant in The Dead Don't Die. Oh,
Busy
yeah.
Man. So, the next one's going to be actor in a supporting role. So, we got Tom Hanks for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers himself, a part that we've both been really anxious to see him in. Anthony Hopkins as Pope Benedict for The Two Popes. Al Pacino as Jimmy Hoffa in The Irishman. Joe Pesci as a mob boss that I can't think of in The Irishman. And Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as the stuntman to, and companion to our previous nominee.
Yeah.
So, I know you've seen one of these I have not seen.
And that's the only one I have. And you've seen all the others.
I've seen all the rest.
So, yes, Tom Hanks is absolutely wonderful in A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. He is not... Some people say that you couldn't even tell him from Mr. Rogers. I disagree. He is still clearly... There's a Tom Hanks quality to Tom Hanks that you can't lose. It's sort of like certain mannerisms he has, but he still does a really good job of catching Fred Rogers' mannerisms. That kind of clipped vocal delivery, the very quiet, very calm. He does a really, 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 really good job of being Mr. Rogers. But even in the private moments where he is Fred Rogers, he does a really good job. And there are parts where he is basically acting with no voice, just pure expression. Tom Hanks is a brilliant actor, and I want to know why in the hell this is his first nomination since Castaway. Especially since he was everywhere at Oscar in the 90s. You know, he needed a nomination for Charlie Wilson's War, for Road to Perdition, for Saving Mr. Banks. But he finally got another one. He deserves this nod. Now, I'm curious about a couple of these. I have read and been told that Anthony Hopkins and Brad Pitt are basically co-leads. Yeah. And that this is bullshit that they're up for supporting.
Oh, it is bullshit. I think they just wanted to not have them both on the same docket.
Yes, but that's BS. You're stealing roles. And case in point, Parasite was an ensemble piece. A lot of people thought Kang Ho Song had a chance at getting a nod. Also, Sun Kyun Lee, Woo Sik Choi would have both been very good contenders. There are other films where there would have been very good contenders. Knives Out had an excellent performance from Michael Shannon. It had an excellent performance from Don Johnson. You had Chris Evans, really. Chris Evans could have been a good choice for this one. Robert Downey Jr. in Avengers Endgame would have been a good contender. There were a lot of really, really, really solid contenders in the supporting categories. I have always thought it is BS the way people position themselves for the wrong category, but they do it every year. This is one of the areas where I agree with those that talk about the Academy and politics and that kind of stuff. What I've heard is that these performances are awesome.
Yes.
But it's still...
I mean, looking at the performances as I've seen them, just as a... I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about Tom Hanks, so I really want to see it, and I will be seeing it before. I have a line on getting it, and I've got 2 lines on getting the ability to see it, and I plan on it. Anthony Hopkins does an exquisite job. If I was to take them both out there, I actually consider him better than Jonathan Pryce in this particular role. He plays Emperor Palpatine like nobody else other than the... but, I mean, as far as... I don't know why, but every time I think of Benedict, I keep seeing the memes of him going... Ha! And having the lightning shooting out.
You just offended Catholics everywhere.
But, I mean, it really is a wonderful tale of 2 individuals, 2 philosophies, and the passion that they both display. It's an amazing piece of work, and they both deserve the nomination they got. I mean, if I was to throw it up there, I would probably have knocked Adam Driver off because I can't speak for Antonio Banderas, and put him on that place. And then you could have had one of the Parasite actors up there. Al Pacino could have been knocked off, in my opinion, because though it was good as Jimmy Hoffa, he was Al Pacino playing Al Pacino playing Benny Hoffa.
Now, I was curious about this. I want to ask you about this because everyone was talking Pacino and Pesci, Pacino and Pesci, Pacino and Pesci. But the star of the film is Robert De Niro. No one's really been pushing him.
Well, no, because he's played this role over and over again.
So you didn't feel that he would have been a good choice for actor?
To me, it's sort of like how Pacino is. I didn't feel like he added enough to the role to be pushed forward. He was good, but he was good at playing the same part I've always seen him play. Al Pacino did do a little bit more, but Joe Pesci was very different.
I've heard he was good.
I have never seen him in that type of role. He came out of retirement for it, and what better way to have his new swan song be in there than to have this nomination and even maybe a win. The fact of the matter is, whenever it's been a mob movie, he's always played this hot-tempered kind of middle management guy. But now he's one of the bosses. He holds his temper. He is the calculating one. He is the calm one, and he plays it. He plays it to the hilt. So I give him a lot of props. Brad Pitt was good, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he was a fun character. Again, to me, though, it was sort of like Leonardo DiCaprio's role. They were fun characters, but I did not consider them necessarily best actor or best supporting actor when in the company they keep. Now, predictions, I would predict Tom Hanks as the favorite for me, even though I haven't seen it, and then either Anthony Hopkins or Joe Pesci for my secondary. I still haven't decided on that. Who would you put up on yours?
I want to say Tom Hanks, but from what I've heard, I would say the front runner is Joe Pesci except there's a possibility of split votes because of the same
because of
film.
the thing.
So it could go to Hanks or Pesci. It really is kind of a wide open field, though, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
This could be the token win for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
It could
although
be.
it's probably going to win screenplay.
Yeah.
And
that'd
actually,
be my
let's
bet.
back up real quick to actor. I wanted to make a point as well. Another type of film beside foreign film where people tend to overlook the actors is big war epics. And 1917 was a phenomenal war epic. And it was carried on the backs of Dean Charles Chapman and George McKay.
Oh my
And
gosh,
McKay
yeah.
in particular was phenomenal.
Oh,
and
wow,
no
yeah.
one is talking about them as actors.
Those performances should
Yes.
have been recognized. I agree.
Yeah.
They were spectacular.
Yeah.
So,
Actress in a leading role.
this is where you want Tessa Thompson to get it.
This is a freaking weird one because usually I'm lucky if I've seen one. And I've already seen 3 of these.
Yeah, you've seen more than I have on this one.
So we've got the nominees are Cynthia Erivo for Harriet, Scarlett Johansson for Marriage Story, Saoirse Ronan for Little Women, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, and Renee Zellweger for Judy. Now, I have not yet seen Judy, and I don't know if I'm going to get to before the show, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I will be getting Netflix next week, and I will watch Marriage Story. But I have already seen the other 3, and I will say of the 3, Charlize Theron is phenomenal, is Megyn Kelly. Not that that's anything to brag about, except that she did just do a really great job of humanizing this character, and also she nailed her voice. She did a perfect impersonation. She perfectly nailed the part of a hard-charging career journalist. Theron is a very talented actress, and it's nice to see her shine. Saoirse Ronan she is probably going to be, I won't say the next, because I think Amy Adams might still be, but she will probably end up being in 20 years the one that people joke about instead of Meryl Streep. she is on that path.
Yeah.
And even though I was shocked that Streep is not in the running for Little Women, Saoirse Ronan she is phenomenal in the film. She did such a good job. It's her second time working for Greta Gerwig, and the two of them, they know how to work together. It's really good. Cynthia Erivo is great in Harriet. She does a great job. I'm probably going to get some flack for this, but I think she's in there as the diversity vote. And since the Academy is afraid of Asians, they didn't want to give it to Awkwafina. They gave it to Cynthia Erivo.
It did surprise me Awkwafina did not.
It surprised me almost as much as Erivo getting in there, honestly. Now, Erivo is poised to pull what Mary J. Blige almost did, which could be a double win in acting and original song, which has never been done before.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen this time, but it would be cool.
I think that Harriet will take home 1 win,
Right.
just so they can
It
say
could get original song.
because they've been very kind of diversity scarce in these nominations.
Oh my God, this year.
So it very well could be that they decide to give Harriet one of the wins just to say no, we're not racist.
Well, we'll get some more into that later. But it is worth noting that 2 of these are double nominees, and we will get to their double nominees soon. And they're both first-time nominees, which makes it even better. But of these, you saw Marriage Story. Was that the only one?
Yeah, this is where we turn it around to where I'm only seeing one in the category. I will be seeing Harriet because Harriet is, once it gets released, which I believe it's coming out very shortly.
Pretty soon, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's this week, actually, because we covered it last week.
Yes,
So
you're
I
right.
will probably see it before our next show.
Okay.
But I've seen 2. Whether I'll see the other 3 or not really depends on what's in the theater playing on, I guess, the 2
Well, Judy's already on home
weekends.
media.
So I don't know whether I'll get to see any of them or not. It just depends on
Yeah.
how much money and time I have to spend on it. But Scarlett Johansson, out of the two, and it really was a pair with Adam Driver. It really worked. They really worked well off of each other. But Scarlett Johansson did shine brighter, in my opinion. And well, she does.
Yes.
And I was quite amazed at how well she did. Marriage Story is a hard watch. I was not enjoying it at all throughout the
It's a
entirety
Noah
of it.
Baumbach film about divorce.
But it was a well done film. It was a well acted film. And if I was to make a prediction, I would say, I mean, Scarlett Johansson has a shot at the win.
Right.
And probably even though I haven't seen any of them, probably Renee Zellweger. And Cynthia Erivo only if they really want to say that they're not racist.
Honestly, and we'll get to more on this in a moment on Johansson, I think there's a chance of Saoirse Ronan finally taking home Oscar gold, because I don't think she has yet. But I really think this is probably between Theron and Zellweger. From what I've heard, I think it's between the two of them. And I'd love to see Saoirse or Scarlett win. I wouldn't mind seeing Cynthia Erivo win. But I think it's between Theron and Zellweger. And I'm pulling for Theron, if only because I generally pull more for her. They have both won Oscars before, so there's that going against them. But it's been a while. There's sort of the idea that this is Zellweger's comeback. Because she was a darling for a while, and then she went off into the ether, and now she's back. So, and she's playing Judy Garland, and the Academy loves to feed their own.
That's what I was saying. Zellweger has a shot in my mind.
Yeah.
Of course, these are our first impressions, literally.
Right.
Don't take this as you would our actual prediction cast, which will be the Friday before the Oscars.
Yes.
And we will... we've been doing this as a tradition. You've been going on your basic guts and your insight. I pour into the research to various articles and stuff online and see what I come up with. And it's been to varying results. I don't know which one. Well, my wife came up ahead last year.
I think she did win, yeah. Well, last year was just weird.
Last year, none of us predicted that.
No.
Green Book still pisses me off that it won Best Picture.
Okay, so
actress in a supporting role.
Yeah.
This is another one where I have seen very few, and you've seen
2.
also very few.
Yes.
So Kathy Bates for Richard Jewell, which neither one of us have
Right.
seen. Laura Dern for Marriage Story, which I've seen. Scarlett Johansson for Jojo Rabbit,
God,
which
I
neither
wanna
one of us
see
has
that.
seen, but
I
both of
wanna-
us want to see. Not that we don't want to see any of the others,
Right.
but you know, Florence Pugh for Little Women, which he's seen,
Yeah.
and Margot Robbie for Bombshell, which you've seen.
Yeah.
I would figure you would just pull for Margot Robbie, Harley Quinn herself, to have this win.
Well, no, not necessarily. This is intriguing, and this is where I'm going to flip back to Scarlett Johansson. You notice, we just talked about her. Scarlett Johansson is a double nominee for acting. One, this very rarely happens. She's like the 11th or 12th person this has ever happened for. Period. The aforementioned Al Pacino is one of them. But very few people have been double nominees in a single year for acting. Of them, about 5 of them did not win. So actually, one of the things arguing against her is history of double nominees. It doesn't bode well. This was also a surprise nomination. Everyone was focused on Marriage Story. People were saying she was great in Jojo Rabbit, but no one was really looking at her as a strong contender. So, once again, Yo Jung-jo, So-Dam Park, Jung-Un Lee, Hae-Jin Jung, all could have been nominated In particular, Sodam Park was brilliant in Parasite. All of them were great, though.
What was it? Did they say Oscar's so white, right?
Well, they missed such opportunities. Not to mention other opportunities for diversity of, Janelle Monáe and Harriet would have been a good opportunity. But, again, no Meryl Streep. So props to the Academy there.
For not giving her hope
She
and
is
crushing it again.
She's not bad. She's actually quite good in Little Women, but they didn't need to give her another nod. We'll talk about over-nominated people as we go. But Florence Pugh, this was her breakout year. She had a highly acclaimed turn in a weird, twisted film called Midsommar. She also had a less acclaimed film, Fighting with My Family. Last year, she had a wonderful performance in a film called Lady Macbeth. So I'm expecting big things for her, but she is great in Little Women. The performances overall were mostly brilliant. The overrated Timothée Chalamet was the only weak link. And actually, I loved one commentator said something of like, he ends up with Pugh in the end. And someone was like, the performances were all great except for that pretty boy Chalamet, but it looks like Amy's going to man him up. I was like, that's pretty good. I did love Margot Robbie in Bombshell. She was great in the film. She was absolutely great. The film has taken a lot of flack for making one of the stars a composite fictional character. Robbie, though, does do a great job of speaking for a lot of different characters that I guess they probably thought it would be too sensitive to have those individual characters in the film. So she did a really good job with that. In particular, there's one kind of harrowing scene with her and Roger Ailes. It's played by... They should have said more for John Lithgow. He really should have been in the conversation for that. But anyway, Laura Dern was wonderful in Little Women, but everyone was pushing her for Marriage Story, so I don't know. The Academy loves her to death, they love Kathy Bates.
She did a good job with what she had there, but I really did not feel it was as powerful a role as some of the others down here. I have not seen the others. I mean, if it was my take on it, again, I have not seen any but one. I would look at this as Scarlett Johansson, I feel, is going to walk away with gold for one of those two nominations. And if she gets one, she's not going to likely get the other. And I think that Margot Robbie will probably be a decent second on that. Though, again, I can't speak to these very well because I have not seen any but one. And the one I've seen, I just think to myself, the other roles have got to be stronger.
And I just realized I'm kicking myself now because one of the films that got horribly snubbed, I almost forgot, and another one that got relatively horribly snubbed, I almost forgot, so I'll talk on those briefly. Knives Out should have been nominated for Best Actress for Ana de Armas. She was wonderful in the film. She carried the film pretty much. Yeah. People love to talk about Daniel Craig, and he's a hoot. But really, Armas carried the dramatic weight of that film. Jennifer Lopez. A lot of people were pushing her for supporting actress for Hustlers. I watched Hustlers this morning, and I have to say, there were a lot of opportunities for diversity. Constance Wu for actress, Keke Palmer for supporting actress. But really, Lopez was far and away the most impressive of the bunch. And I've been saying for years, she's underrated as an actress. I was excited that she was finally getting Oscar buzz, and they dropped the ball in the end game. She really could have, much as you guys love Laura Dern, this would have been a great opportunity for some diversity, you know?
Didn't you mention Tessa Thompson for Best Actress?
That was a joke.
International.
No, I love Tessa Thompson. She is great, and she had a hell of a year last year. But I was joking about she should have been nominated for MIB International, but that was a movie that should have got more love than it did. Another movie that should have gotten more love than it did, Rosa Salazar could have been a nominee for Alita, you know, but that's a kind of a full, you know.
My favorite, you're gonna get to read off my favorite category.
Animated feature film.
I've seen all but one.
And this is a weird ass list. There was one omission that pissed me the freaking hell off. There was one omission that I was astonished in a good way. And there were some surprises here.
Boss Baby 5.
No, thousands. So, the usual suspects, Toy Story 4.
Oh,
thousands.
It would never have not gotten the nomination.
So, Toy Story 4, the newly minted Golden Globe winning Missing Link.
Yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon, The Hidden World. These we expected. I Lost My Body.
This was the
a surprise. This was a surprise. I was amazed. It's a highly acclaimed film.
Yeah.
But wow.
I'll have that watched by the next podcast.
And Klaus. Also a surprise. I believe those are both European films, are they not?
Yeah, not as much a surprise for me. Because Klaus got a lot of love from the BAFTAs. We haven't had them yet. But
the BAFTAs mean nothing to us Americans.
But still, at the same time, you got to pay attention to some of the categories that are farther reaching, because some of them do tend to mirror themselves. Of course, they did say that Kristen Stewart was Best New Actress for Twilight, so that does kind of knock them down in my eyes. But she's a great actress.
Well, the Europeans love her. I mean, again, she's the first American actress nominated for César. But anyway, so notice what you're missing there. No Frozen 2. The mouse failed to Klaus.
Oh, we're missing another one too.
And this is the part that pisses me the hell off. After a phenomenal 8 submissions last year, there were something like 4 anime submitted this year, which was weak. For some reason, I Want to Eat Your Pancreas was not even submitted. I don't know why.
What were the ones submitted?
But of the ones submitted, there was Children of the Sea, Promare, Weathering with You, and at least one more.
Got some good pedigree in there.
So yes, Weathering with You, the new film from Makoto Shinkai, the film that the powers that be in Japan decided is the first anime in 22 years since Princess Mononoke. It is their first anime that's their official submission for foreign language feature, which we'll find out what happened there is coming up. This film, the successor to Your Name, did not get a nod, and neither did any of the other anime. Promare is an acclaimed film. Children of the Sea is an acclaimed film. No love at all for the anime. And it pisses me off.
There is another wonderful thing about the that was omitted, though. The film Lion King, which it should have been because it is live action, which you can't see. I'm doing the quotey fingers.
I still don't know why the hell the Golden Globes thought they could get away with that.
But, that one, I'm glad that did not make the nomination.
It does fit the definition,
it does, but I'm just
but
glad it ain't.
If the Academy can consider Cats and Dogs 2 a possible animated feature...
But they couldn't consider Lego Movie or Lego Movie 2.
Yeah, go figure. Yeah. And incidentally, we'll talk more on that later, but no love for Lego Movie 2. I'm disappointed. Yes.
But just to go down some of these, I know you've actually seen... you've seen at least 2 of these.
I've seen 2 of them, yes.
And, How to Train Your Dragon Hidden World was probably, in my opinion, the weakest of the trilogy. But
it was still good.
It was still good. I'm not saying it wasn't good, but I was going to say...
Yeah.
because it rounds out the end of a very good trilogy.
Yeah.
The second film is a spectacular film, and the first one was really good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, it was a solid trilogy, and having this nomination was a necessity for the roundout. Toy Story 4, it's a Pixar film, it's a Toy Story film, it's got to have the nomination. It could have been a crap movie, it would have gotten the nomination. All they'd have to do is rehash one of the same plot points. And they did a little bit, they took a couple more steps away.
They definitely remixed the formula in some ways, and they did do some nice original new stuff with this one.
And they gave a good end cap to it.
They did give a good end cap to it. We'll see if it is the end cap this time.
I lost my body. I came so close to watching this last night, and I did not. It just looked like I kept thinking of the Addams Family because it shows. I seen the trailer. It shows a little hand running around.
Yes, it's a hand trying to find its body.
It's Thing. It's the. I kept joking with my wife. It's the origin story of Thing from the Addams Family.
Nice.
But Klaus. I watched Klaus because again I was looking for potential nominees, and it has a lot of the notes of a traditional, like, okay, this is the origin of Christmas and how it came to be. Sit on my boy, little lap. Sit on my lap, little boy.
My boy.
And give me a kiss and I'll give you a present. But, you know, it's, but this one has a lot of notes that did make me, quite glad that this did get a look over, because as far as these stories go, this one has a lot of heart to it. It made me actually feel a little bit, which a lot of these films I've gotten so used to these films. It takes a lot to do that, and I have to give it that. Klaus did a good job with that. Could it have? This one is probably the weakest contender and probably should have been the one replaced by one of the anime submitted. But it was still a good film. And Missing Link, we've talked about this in the pickups, but it was surprisingly good. And it's by Laika. Laika does good work. So, you know, as far as things go, this is not like last year where freaking Boss Baby got a nomination. At least I can say all of the nominees are good. Even though I haven't seen I Lost My Body, it has such a good rep. I can say that they're all good films. Now, winner, probably it's between Missing Link and Toy Story 4. Mainly because Missing Link came out of nowhere, and it wouldn't hurt for Laika to rack up another win. But Toy Story 4 would... but Toy Story 4... The Oscars love Toy Story. They love Toy Story 3 a ton. I just can't see them not picking Toy Story 4 as their win.
It's far and away the most likely. Now, it's possible, given that How to Train Your Dragon is the end of the series and that it's a DreamWorks production, there's a lot of love for DreamWorks. And it's possible.
How to Train Your Dragon, the original, almost. It was the one to beat... when it went up against Pixar, but Pixar did beat it down.
With Toy Story 3.
Yes. So it would be interesting if the third How to Train Your Dragon movie turned it around and beat Toy Story 4.
Right. Now, of course, this is the second time that those two franchises have gone to head when they should have been up against an anime and weren't. Because those two should have been up against Summer Wars, and they weren't.
Well, we're going to step it up a bit for these technical ones. Yeah. Because we've got a lot to do and very little time. So cinematography. We have the Irishman with Rodrigo Prieto. Joker with Lawrence Sher. Lighthouse. Jaron
Blaschke.
1917 with Roger Deakins. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Robert Richardson. I've actually seen all but one of these. I have not seen The Lighthouse, which I think is this the only one?
I think that's the only one it got.
And I need to see it. Again, there's some that are up, higher on the list. The ones that are higher on the list are the ones that I can see for free. And then there are others that are definitely higher up on the list.
Now, you got to admit, this is awesome. A black and white film with basically two actors.
Yeah.
One of them Willem Dafoe and one of them the dude from Twilight, from the director of The Witch. The fact that this is up for any Oscar is interesting.
Oh, it is, yeah.
But I want to see this film. It looks good. And
You've seen what? You've seen two of these
I've
yourself,
seen Joker
so, yeah.
in 1917. And 1917 has the quote-unquote gimmick of it looks like it's pretty much one continuous shot, except there's one part where the main character, there's unconsciousness involved. Yeah. So they use that as a break. But otherwise, it looks continuous, and it's pretty damned impressive. Now, I'm still a little unclear about why this is purely cinematography and why they don't give props to the editing department. I still think that's kind of stupid that they don't share the love, because I'm pretty sure both are involved. But I think because of what they pulled off with that, 1917 should win.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they did a good job with editing that.
Good deal. Well, again, this is cinematography.
Yeah.
Well, and the cinematography for Joker did a really good job of making it look like something right out of the 70s.
Yeah, they did. They did do that.
Which is also partly with the costume design, which we have costume design. Sandy Powell and Christopher Peterson for The Irishman.
Yep.
And I know Sandy Powell is one of the most nominated people ever in this category, so that is something. Maze C. Rubio for Jojo Rabbit. Mark Bridges for Joker. Jacqueline Duran for Little Women. And Ariane Phillips for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I've seen Joker and Little Women, and you've seen
Actually,
Joker.
come to think of it, they're all period pieces.
They're all period pieces. Joker is the 70s. Little Women is basically right around Civil War era, northeastern country. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is
69.
late 69. Jojo Rabbit is the World War II, and Irishman is much of the 20th century.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can imagine they're all impressive. Now, I cannot believe that there was no love at all in the Oscar discussion for Downton Abbey. And
I
this
think
would have been a
been,
category for that.
I mean, it's just like I was kind of sad to see that Dane, what was her name? I'm just bad with names today. You know what I'm talking about.
And incidentally, both this category and cinematography would have been good ones for A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, actually.
What is her name? The Downton Abbey, she was
Maggie Smith? Yeah.
Maggie Smith, I wish she would have gotten a nod
Yes.
for supporting actress.
Yes.
Just because it was a good part. It's been lauded over for years,
right.
And this was the opportunity. It
for
does make
Oscar.
me sad because Downton Abbey was an excellent
It
film.
should have been up for costume design and production design.
At the very least, yeah.
So, and cinematography could have been work. Oh, wow, this is buried in the list. That's kind of sad.
Yes, directing.
Okay.
The Irishman for Martin Scorsese for The Irishman. Todd Phillips for Joker. Sam Mendes for 1917. Quentin Tarantino for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And Bong Joon-ho for Parasite. Now, I have seen all but one of these. You've seen
all but two of them.
And one of those and you've seen, actually between the both of us, we have seen all of them.
So we both saw Joker in 1917. I saw Parasite, and you saw Irishman and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yep. So this you've got some pretty strong directors. I mean, Scorsese is a favorite of the Oscars.
Oh yeah.
I just feel like The Irishman is pulling from the same old well.
Yeah.
So I don't really feel like there's anything new that he's done or brought to the table. Meanwhile, Todd Phillips has done some excellent work.
Yeah.
Sam Mendes did excellent work.
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino did Quentin Tarantino work.
Yeah.
And, of course, we can't discount Parasite, which I've heard probably should get this.
Oh, it's a phenomenal. And it's phenomenal that there actually is a Korean nominated for the first time ever for director. It is nice to see another Asian in this category because very few. Ang Lee has done well in this category, but he's one of the only ones.
Yeah.
You know, there are some others who should be frequently mentioned. But here again, the Oscars missed the boat for diversity. I admit Joker was good, but I don't know that I think Todd Phillips deserved to be in here over Greta Gerwig.
I don't know.
And
the fact that he went from the Hangover movies.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a step up.
He's worked hard on this.
He has worked hard, but I do think that it's hard to say, and it might have been that Tarantino or Scorsese should have stepped aside, even though these are both very personal films that they spent a lot of time on. And same thing with 1917 and Sam Mendes, very personal film for him. So, but I would have loved to have seen Greta Gerwig, and also I think some of the other people who could have gotten in there, maybe not so much on diversity, but in terms of personal films, Pedro Almodovar and Noah Baumbach. But also, it was a strong year overall for female directors, not just Gerwig.
Yeah.
But you had the films, you had Hustlers, Honey Boy, The Farewell, all of which were completely shut out by Oscar, and Harriet were all by female directors. The director of Harriet was also African American, so that would have been... There's a lot of opportunity for diversity here. That they,
let's not discount a Jordan Peele for Us. Even though I didn't consider Us as good as Get Out, it was still a decently directed film.
I think the strongest one Us had was Lupita Nyong'o for supporting for actress, actually. But Us probably should have gotten something.
A nod, anyway.
Something, yes. But but again, the directing category, I love seeing Bong Joon-ho there. I love that. And don't get me wrong, Scorsese's awesome, Tarantino's awesome, Sam Mendes is awesome. And even though I'm kind of joking about Phillips as the Hangover guy, Joker and The Hangover are both excellent films. So you got some solid stuff there. It's just, I would have loved a little bit more.
Who do you think will win? I know who you want to win, but who do you think will win?
I actually think Sam Mendes has a very strong shot here.
So that would be
if
me
it's
on
not
this
If it's
too.
not him, it'd be Scorsese.
Yeah, I have to say, I think that Scorsese has a good shot.
Yeah.
I really do think it will be Mendes or Scorsese in this one. Though I do think that Parasite should win, even though I haven't seen it. So I can't really say personally, but just by reputation, it sounds like it should win. But again, wish all I want. So, this is you, right?
Okay,
I think so.
Yes. Documentary feature. We have American Factory. Nominees Stephen Bogner, Julia Reichert, and Jeff Reichert. The Cave. Nominees Faris Fayyad, Kirstine Barfod, and Sigrid Diekjar. Sorry. The Edge of Democracy.
I'm glad you got this.
The Edge of Democracy. Nominees Petra Costa, Joanna Natasagara, Shane Boris, and Tiago Pavan. For Sama, the nominees Wad Al-Kataib and Edward Watts. And Honeyland, nominees Ljubo Stefanov, Tamara Kotevska, and Atanas Georgiev. So
how many have you seen?
None.
I've seen one.
I saw two that I thought were likely nominees, Apollo 11 and Maiden. They're both excellent. I saw an excellent one that was shut out, Toni Morrison, The Pieces I Am. But no, I have not seen any of these.
I'll tell you, The Great Hack is one I thought was going to get a nomination. And it was an important one because it talked about Facebook and the manipulation of the population that went on small scales around the world and eventually helped to, one, turn out Brexit and then to elect our current president, which that to me was a very impressive documentary. It is very sad that this did not get in there. I want to see a lot of these others. Honeyland, I
wanna
will
see
see
that.
for Sama. That one is on Prime. I will get to see that. And I will get to see Edge of Democracy. That's also on Netflix. The Cave I can't find. Honeyland, if I pay for it, I'll get to watch.
I have it on hold from the library. We'll see if I get it.
American Factory, though, is a strong tale. If out of the ones that I've seen, and I've read the summaries for each of these, American Factory is the one I want to win because it has a strong union message. I come from a strong union-based family. We were talking about politics earlier, and you were talking about one of your things that you have a hard time with is the environment. For me, it's about union politics because that's what I grew up around. That's how my grandfather was telling me about the coal mines. You got Meituan. We were talking about that movie. But, you know, unions and the importance of unions in creating a positive society. And you get to see the contrast of what it is like, even in American laws, and and China with their do-as-you-will free market. China is actually more of a capitalist country than we are. Because they're totalitarian in their government, but their economic system is almost widely capitalist in a lot of ways. Their free market is very unhindered. And this shows it in the fact they're looking at these people and they're saying, well, why can't you work? Why can't you do with just 2 days off a month? Why can't you work for less money? Why can't you ignore these safety regulations? Why can't we fire you when you get hurt on the job because we're ignoring safety regulations? Why can't we dump our raw sewage into the water supply? These are questions that we have answered with, well, we've got a union, and no, you can't do that anymore. And even these days when they didn't have one, they get the benefits. But that's enough of my soapbox. For those conservative viewers who are listening, you can turn your ears back on. But you'll probably hate this film and many of the other films on here. Honeyland being environmental piece. For Sama, well, that just alone should tell you that you're probably not going to like this film. Edge of Democracy, again, I've seen some previews for that. You're probably not going to... Matter of fact, you're probably going to say The Cave is probably the best one, and by default, but I would say that you would look at this and say they're all crap. They're all communist, they're commie pig films.
Now, my guess is American Factory or Edge of Democracy will probably be the winner, but we'll see.
Which will suck in a way because for physical media, it's going to be extremely hard to get either one.
Yep.
So documentary short subject. One that I have not seen any. And likely will not see any of these. I think short animated is the highest chance usually. In the absence, Yi Sung Young and Gary Byung come.
So Parasite's not the only Korean film nominated.
Learning to skateboard in a war zone if you're a girl.
Love the title.
Carol Dissinger and Elena Andrikeva. Life Overtakes Me, John Haptas and Christine Samuelson. St. Louis Superman, Smriti Mundra and Sami Khan.
Adele Dazeem.
Walk, Run, Cha-Cha. I just like that name.
Yes.
Laura Nix and Colette Sandstedt. If I was to just take a guess just by the titles, I would say Learning to Skateboard in a War Zone if you're a girl because it has the kind of feminist aspect to it.
Sounds good.
That sounds good. Have you watched any of them?
No.
All right.
I intend to.
Well, you get one that we have watched.
Editing. Okay, so we have Ford v. Ferrari, Michael McCusker and Andrew Buckland. The Irishman, Thelma Schoonmaker. Jojo Rabbit, Tom Eagles. Joker, Jeff Groff, and Parasite, Yang Jin-mo. I am thrilled that Parasite got a nod in this category. I think that's cool. That one and Joker, of course, are the ones I've seen. I, again, see previous comments. I think 1917 probably should have been in this category.
Yeah.
But
It could go to 4v Ferrari.
I have not seen this, and I don't know.
I don't know either.
I know the Thelma Schoonmaker has done pretty much all of Scorsese's films, and she's a great editor. I can comment on Joker and Parasite. Both of them were very well edited films. It's kind of hard to say, really, which one's the standout.
We'll come back to this later. Hopefully better.
I'm going to guess The Irishman is the one to beat here.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I see. That's the thing with the de-aging. Would you consider that makeup? Because
No,
it's not
that's
really.
VFX.
So visual
which is why
effects?
the film is up for
Yeah.
visual effects.
So, well, we'll just move on.
Yes.
International feature film. I know you got a lot to say about that one.
Formerly known as Foreign Language
Yes.
Feature.
Corpus Christi, Poland. Honeyland, North Macedonia. Hey, at least it got something.
Yeah.
Les Miserables, France. Pain and Glory, Spain. And Parasite, South Korea.
I've seen one of these.
Parasite is supposedly the one to beat in this
It
one.
is the one to beat, and it's almost guaranteed. Although Pain and Glory has a strong contender, I think Les Miserables has a small chance.
Well, my favorite version of Les Miserables, my favorite movie version was an actual French version, so it would be cool to see another French version of it.
Now, I think it's awesome. This notable, very notable, but awesome. Honeyland is in this category and documentary feature. That never happens. So that's very
It
impressive.
is cool.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I mean, I guess that's since again
Which
we
also
yeah.
means that this is, I think, 2 years in a row that we've had this category has had 3 multiple nominees,
I
which
am
is kind of
glad
weird.
that they are leaking out into the
Yes.
other Oscars. That
Yes.
shows that they are more accepting
And
and
yet,
becoming a little bit
the
better.
best film of the year is a foreign language film that no one was talking about. No one was talking about. It wasn't on anyone's radar. But Todos lo saben. Everybody knows. The Oscar Fahadi film that starred Penelope Cruz and Javier Bardem and was a Spanish film despite having an Iranian director. Best film of the year. No one's talking about it. It should have been up in multiple categories. I don't know what's going on.
Well, we're moving into overtime.
Yes.
So we will keep going and up our pace.
Makeup and hairstyling, for the first time in years, has 5 nominees.
Yay!
Yay! They get a cookie.
And of course, they have to give the outlier to. Well, you'll see in a minute. Go ahead.
So we have Kazuhiro, Ann Morgan, and Vivian Baker for Bombshell. Nikki Lederman and Kay Giorgio for Joker. Jeremy Woodhead for Judy. Paul Gooch, Arjun Tweeton, and David White for Maleficent, Mistress of Evil.
You got to have that outlier. They
Yes,
always put
you
like
gotta have
the
one.
oddball.
And Naomi Dung, Tristan Verslewis, and Rebecca Cole for 1917. I've seen 3 of these.
Well, at least
Nope.
I can say since I'll have to get Maleficent eventually,
Yeah.
I will have an Oscar nominee. I think that Joker will win this one.
I don't know. Bombshell had phenomenal makeup. Kazuhiro is a 4-time nominee, nominated for Click, Norbit, Darkest Hour. You see a big uptick in quality there. And then now Bombshell. And just like with Darkest Hour, he took a dude and turned him into a fat, ugly dude and did it just really, really well.
Well, again, we'll have to wait and see. I
Yeah.
don't know what, but also since he did win last year,
Yeah.
Joker is also it's not a ton of makeup job, but it is still.
Same thing with
They still did a lot of work.
1917 was not heavy on the makeup, but it was really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Sometimes the subtle touches are all you
Right.
need. Well, let's talk about one of your favorites, Score. And
Yeah.
of course, our favorite person got nominated again. So we've got Hildur Guðnadóttir for Joker, Alexandre Desplat for Little Woman, Randy Newman for Marriage Story. Some strong contenders here.
Yeah.
Thomas Newman for 1917, and of course the one that I know you're pulling for, John Williams for
No!
Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker.
It's not true. It's impossible.
It's like every time
I think this is his 52nd nomination.
that original score.
Now, don't get me wrong. Every Star Wars film has original pieces of music.
Yes.
But this category is by definition. They are supposed to be substantively original.
I feel like it's more of an adapted
It's an
score.
adapted score. It's not an original score. What the friggin' hell is wrong with you, Oscar? But the other what the friggin' hell wrong with you, Oscar, in this is Thomas Newman has never won. And I think this is his 15th nomination. And his work in 1917 was wonderful.
Maybe he'll get it this time.
He's going to lose to Joker. Maybe Little Women. Joker and Little Women are the front runners in this category. I'm going to actually say I don't think John Williams is the front runner. If he is, I'm sorry, your TV may be in danger. But I think it's between Joker and Little Women, but I think it should go to 1917. All of them had great scores, though. The only one I've not seen is Marriage Story.
I mean, it's Randy Newman. He has a good score.
Oh, he's
and
great.
It is a
Yeah.
decently scored movie. I can't say for Little Women. The problem with it is whenever I think of Little Women, I think of the other versions, and the scores are Little Women scores.
Well,
so
this
I can't
one's
really
really lush and full, but Desplat does great work. So for original song, we have I Can't Let You Throw Yourself Away from Toy Story 4, music and lyric by Randy Newman. I'm Gonna Love Me Again from Rocket Man, music by Elton John, lyric by Bernie Taupin. I'm Standing With You from Breakthrough. What freaking movie is that? We'll come back to that. Music and lyric by Diane Warren.
Yes.
Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. Music and lyric by Kristen Anderson Lopez and Robert Lopez.
Surprisingly, its only nomination.
Stand Up from Harriet. Music and lyric by Joshua Bryan Campbell and Cynthia Erivo. Here is that double nominee. Cynthia Erivo is not only up for actress, she's up for original song. Again, Mary J. Blige pulled something similar with Mudbound. I think that's awesome. I would love to see her win both just because it's never been done. But again, this is the one she's got a shot at. I've never freaking heard of Breakthrough. I've never heard of it. Diane Warren should have won an Oscar in the late 90s, but I don't know. She's never won one either. See our video on people who've never won. But I love that Elton John's new song got a nod. Him and Bernie Taupin getting an Oscar nod together is brilliant. I gotta say the new song from Toy Story is kind of weak and forgettable.
It's a Randy Newman
It's okay. But if I remember correctly, I think they played the older themes in the movie to much better effect.
It's,
And
I don't know.
there was an badass song. I think it was called Water Gonna Rise High or something from Toni Morrison, The Pieces I Am. That should have been on here instead of that friggin' Diane Warren song. And I still say I am very, 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 very put out that John LaJoie did not get a nod for his work on Lego Movie 2. You know, Catchy Song was the only one that made the short list. I would have rather had that than something I've never heard of.
Oh, yeah.
But Not Evil should have been a nominee.
Though, I have not heard I'm Standing With You, so it could be an incredible song.
Yes, but Not Evil should have been a nominee.
Oh, yeah.
And not only that, my least favorite film of the year so far, I've seen 37 films. Number 37 is a film called The Beach Bum with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I have to say, though, I wanted to see the Moondog theme nominated, if only so I could hear the Oscar presenters mention Jimmy Buffett and Snoop Dogg in the same breath.
Now, to me, I think that it's really between Stand Up and I'm Gonna Love Me Again.
I think so, yes.
Because I have heard both, and I've seen one of them in context. And it is an amazing... And you got to keep context in mind for these. And... Which is why I'll probably never actually truly understand Breakthrough, because I'll probably never see it.
Right.
I'll hear the song, but I won't probably see it. But I'm Gonna Love Me Again was really powerful.
Right.
And so was Stand Up, and I'm sure that when I see it in context, it's gonna be moving.
Not to mention, this is Rocket Man's only shot. I think we skipped Best Actor. Taron Egerton did a brilliant job as Elton John.
That was a sad
and they
snub.
could have been up for costume design too. I mean,
that was a big snub.
Yeah.
I mean, because I really felt like he was. Of course, it could be that they did that because he probably would have won the award, and that could have been, again, politics.
Could be
towards trying to make sure we edge at least one of these people forward. That they didn't want to have Joaquin Phoenix to have any other competition. Actually, no, that's not true, because they would have tried to keep Joaquin Phoenix out of it if they could, because they hate comic book movies, and they would hate doing that. But you never know.
You never know.
Well, it looks like they keep going.
I think you skipped. Oh, yeah,
I know.
You did.
I was just looking to see what's left. I think we should hold on Best Picture and come back to it.
Oh, they're alphabetical. That's what it is. Was that the next one then?
Yeah, production design.
Okay.
So why don't we?
So
we're gonna hold off on Best Picture. We're gonna move on production design. Bob Shaw, set decoration. Regina Graves for The Irishman. The Jojo Rabbit production design. Ra Vincent, set decoration. Nora Spokova. 1917 production design. Dennis Gassner. Set decoration, Lee Sandals. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Production design, Barbara Ling. Set decoration, Nancy Hai. Parasite. Production design, Lee Ha-jun. Set decoration, Cho Won-woo. Alright, so production design, I have seen 1, 2, 3 of these.
And I've seen 2.
And I will say, out of all of these... Of course, these are a lot of ones. I have not seen Parasite enough to see about the set design. But
it's pretty impressive.
But 1917...
Very impressive.
And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I haven't been fighting for this movie much, but here... I mean, old Hollywood, getting those extra sets together that they're acting on, doing those things, it is quite the... feature. Though I'm sure you would probably put Parasite forward as your top for this. I need to see it first.
I'd love to see it win, but I'm actually thinking 1917 was a slightly better job. I still say they should have had Downton Abbey in this category.
Oh yeah.
And there were some others. I mean, again, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood would have been a phenomenal choice for this one. Harriet would have been a decent choice. There were a couple good ones. Alita Battle Angel would have been a good one for this one, actually. But of the ones, I'm going to say it's probably going to end up going to The Irishman or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But if 1917 pulls a sweep or a semi-sweep, it'll probably get it. Basically any of those films that pulls a sweep will get that award.
What did Toy Story 4 have a short film before it?
No, I don't think it did.
Yeah,
so short film animated, we got Dtera or Daughter by Daria Kascheva, Hair Love by Matthew H. Harry and Karen Rupert Tolliver, Kit Bull by Rosanna Sullivan and Catherine Hendrickson, Memorable by Bruno Calais and Jean-François Lecorre, and Sister by Siki Song. I know nothing about any of these,
Hair Love sounds
so
cool.
I'll just go with Sister.
All right. Yep. This seems to be how we do the short films. If we haven't seen it, we're like, this sounds good. Let's go with that.
It is short film live action.
Yes. So Brotherhood, Miriam Joubert and Maria Gracia Tugian. Nefta Football Club. Yves Piat and Damien McGarby. The Neighbor's Window, Marshall Curry, Saria, Brian Buckley, and Matt Lefbvre. A sister, Delphine Giard. Well, I liked Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, even though it probably doesn't have any relation, but that's what I would go with.
I'll go with the Sister just for solidarity. Solidarity, brother. Okay, sound editing. We have Ford v Ferrari by Donald Sylvester. Joker, Alan Robert Murray. 1917 by Oliver Tarney and Rachel Tate. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Wiley Stateman. And Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker by Matthew Wood and David Accord.
Now, what's the
I've seen two of these.
Now, what is the
three of
difference
these.
between sound editing and sound mixing again?
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, and I might be, so please sound off if I'm totally wrong.
Hey, you people in the comments, keep us in
Yes, editing is more like effects. It's more like creating sound effects, figuring out when you need like a vocal overdub of some sort of thing. Mixing is more mixing levels. No, actually, the overdubbing would go under mixing, if I'm not mistaken. That would be more mixing levels, syncing things to the film, that sort of thing. So they're both. There's probably a little bit of overlap too, but I think that's the basic breakdown.
Because if I'm looking at it from my point, I would look at both categories. I keep thinking 1917 and Star Wars would be my front runners.
They're both phenomenal, and I was shocked. We'll get to this in a minute, that one of them was not in both categories. But I think 1917 is most probable for these.
Yeah, I mean, it's just such an epic film, and you've got so much going on.
Right,
It just, it's there. Though Star Wars could.
right. It could.
So sound mixing. Ed Astra, Gary Rydstrom, Tom Johnson, and Mark Olano. A lot of this time I just can't read these darn things because of the typeface. Ford v Ferrari, Paul Messi, David Gianmarco, and Stephen A. Morrow. Joker, Tom Ozanich, Dean Zupanik, Zupansik, and Todd Maitland. 1917, Mark Taylor and Stuart Wilson. Didn't struggle on those. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Michael Minkler, Christian P. Minkler, and Mark Ulano.
So Mark Olano's a double nominee.
So Ford v Ferrari. No, it wasn't Ford v. Which one? Ad Astra was the one that got into here
and Star
took
Wars
over Star Wars. So, but still, 1917. I mean, to me, is the biggie there.
Well, like here, where you got music-heavy ones, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Joker, that's where the mixing makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And but Ad Astra, I think, is about being out in space. So
maybe.
dealing with silence can be very important with that.
Yeah, Ford v Ferrari could be as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I don't know enough about these to really give a season.
I'm going to say it goes one of two ways. Either they split it, Star Wars getting editing and mixing going possibly to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood or Joker, or they go with whichever one is more dominant with the wins. Joker or 1917 will grab both. Yeah, it's probably one of the two. So, visual effects. We have Dan DeLieu, Russell Earl, Matt Aiken, and Dan Sudik for Avengers Endgame.
Yay!
Pablo Hellman, Leandro Este Becorena, Nelson Sepulveda Falser, and Stefan Grabli, whatever, for The Irishman. Robert Legato, Adam Valdez, Andrew R. Jones, and Elliot Newman for The Lion King. Guillaume Rocheron, Greg Butler, and Dominique Toy for 1917. And Roger Goyette, Neil Scanlon, Patrick Tubach, and Dominic Toy for Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. So he's a double nominee there.
I think we both have seen all but one.
I've seen all but one, yes.
And I've seen all but two.
You probably have the better end of the deal.
Because you saw Lion King and Star Wars.
Yes.
I saw The Irishman. So The Irishman was talking about that de-aging. That's really where the visual effects come in. And they do a spectacular job. But I really think... I mean... Avengers Endgame has only one nomination, and I really want it to go to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. You've seen both that and Star Wars. Which one of those two has the better visual effects?
It's really hard to say. I think they both have phenomenal visual effects. I think they both sucked compared to Alita Battle Angel, and it's a crime that that's not nominated. It pisses me off. But I think, and it pisses me off that this is the only Marvel nomination period. We had Captain Marvel. We had Spider-Man Far From Home. This is the only nomination for Marvel this year, and that is pathetic. But of the bunch here, they're all good. They're all good. 1917 is very unshowy, but it is good. The effects are very top-notch. The Lion King, the effects are top-notch, but they did have a few issues with the effects. Zazu just looks weird.
I really don't want that to win. I don't want it to win.
I don't. It's not like Jungle Book where I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. This is one I don't want to win. And I'm not crazy about the whole idea of de-aging becoming a commonplace thing.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to see that rewarded. I'd rather see old-fashioned bombast like Avengers or really high quality like 1917, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it could go either way, I guess.
So adapted screenplay.
Yeah.
So we got The Irishman by Stephen Zillian. Jojo Rabbit by Taika Waititi. Joker by Todd Phillips and Scott Silver. Little Women, Greta Gerwig. And The Two Popes by Anthony McCartan. I mean, you got some pretty cool ones there. I've seen all but two. And actually, I'm the one who saw the majority in this one.
I've seen two of them.
And neither one of us have seen Jojo Rabbit.
Yeah.
But we've mostly seen the whole of it. And,
notice both Gerwig and Waititi had to make do with writing nominations instead of directing. It's very annoying.
I don't know. I mean, Joker could get it in this. I have not seen Jojo Rabbit, and so I cannot say.
I don't want to, but I've got to say, what I've seen of Waititi, dude is bonkers. I have no doubt this is an awesome screenplay. And I've heard that if it gets anything, this will probably be its token win. Mm-hmm. But there is a shot for The Irishman. There's a shot for Little Women. There's a shot for The Two Popes. But I do think it's going to be Jojo Rabbit with Joker as the spoiler.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
I wouldn't disagree with that. The Two Popes was excellently written. Now, I'm going to say this. If anything, The Two Popes should get a nod for that.
Okay.
I'm glad it got its nod. It was philosophy on the screen.
Right.
I really felt that was the strongest screenplay out of what I saw.
Okay.
But I don't think it'll win. I don't think it has a chance in hell. But, yes.
Okay, so let me see some. So, interesting footnote as well. Anthony McCartan and Steven Zalian are responsible for the only screenplays this time around that are not co-written or written by the directors of the films. That's interesting. So, original screenplay, we have Knives Out by Ryan Johnson.
Only nod.
I was going to say something on that in a moment, but anyway, screw you, Academy. Well, we'll come back to that. Knives Out by Rian Johnson, Marriage Story by Noah Baumbach, 1917 by Sam Mendes and Christy Wilson Cairn, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood by Quentin Tarantino, and Parasite by Bong Joon-ho and Han Jin-won. So I have seen 3 of these, and 4 of these actually. Three of them.
And we've covered the category with both of us.
We have covered. So 2 things. First of all, Knives Out is flippin' awesome, and the Academy needs to go hang. They really, really dropped the ball on that one. I think it's awesome that Parasite's in here, yet another category where you've got your first ever Korean nominees.
Do you feel it was better than Knives Out, writing-wise?
It's debatable. They're both phenomenal screenplays. 1917, the screenplay was not exactly what the film hinged on, but it was a very well-written film. Very well written. And this is an interesting footnote. Of the 5 films that are my top 5 films of the year, one of them is not even nominated for anything. Everybody knows. One of them is nominated for Adapted Screenplay, Little Women. And 3 of them are nominated for Original Screenplay, Parasite, Knives Out, 1917. So, yes, of my top 5, the 3 films I've seen nominated for Original Screenplay were all in my top 5 for the year. So, I actually kind of agree with the Oscars on this category. Once I see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Marriage Story, I'll know for sure. But this is always a kooky category.
Yeah.
I think there's a very strong possibility for Parasite or 1917 or even Marriage Story if any one of them ends up getting a ton of Day of Love.
Yeah. Marriage Story is strong.
There's a strong chance that Knives Out could win because it's its only shot.
Yeah.
But really, this is Quentin Tarantino's category to lose. I think if Once Upon a Time in Hollywood wins anything, it's probably going to be for the screenplay. So,
Tarantino gets a lot of wins for his screenplays.
Well, he's had a couple. He's had much fewer than you would think.
Knives Out, though, I really want to see that as the win for this. If
It was
anything,
good.
it's a screw you to the people who hated Last Jedi. But it really was a great one. Mm-hmm. I do think Marriage Story was the strongest of the screenplays, but I didn't like Marriage Story, so I would go with Knives Out. And it takes a lot to craft a true mystery.
Yes.
And it really did a good job with what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it ended out to where I get to read the best one of all, Best Picture. So let's see how many.
We actually have 9 nominees this year.
So we start with Ford v Ferrari. I'm not going through the names at this point because it's everybody. It shouldn't be just these people. Best Picture shouldn't be these people and nobody else. It's everybody. It's the actors. It's the writers.
Yeah.
It's everyone. So it's the film. Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. And between the 2 of us, we have almost covered this category, except for Ford v Ferrari. Fuck you, Ford v Ferrari.
And Jojo Rabbit.
And Jojo Rabbit. I keep thinking you've seen it.
No, I want to. Yeah.
So, we've mostly covered the category.
Yeah.
Let's see. For me, I need to see Ford v Ferrari, Jojo Rabbit, and Little Women and Parasite.
So I have seen Little Women, Parasite, Joker in 1917. So there is one unfortunate. You said you don't want to bother with all the people involved.
Well, because you're excluding all the others.
Well, actually, and this is the point I want to make, it's notable the director of the film is nominated for every single one of these except Little Women. Greta Gerwig does not share. Amy Pascal is the only nominee for Little Women. just kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
kind of but all the others the director is involved and other people, and but it's an interesting group. It's a very interesting group. It's interesting that 4v Ferrari is in there with only 3 technical awards to back it up. It's extremely interesting that Parasite made it, and I'm thrilled about
Yeah.
that.
I don't think it'll win.
I'm
no.
furious that once again they could have 10 and they don't, and they didn't bother to nominate Everybody Knows or Knives Out
Or Men in Black International.
or Downton Abbey or seriously, I would have gone with Knives Out for the 10th
Yeah.
spot. Or I would have loved Everybody Knows or Downton Abbey, but since neither of them was in the discussion, you know.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Weathering with You yet, but as of next week, I should be able to comment on that one. But for what I've seen, this is a good mix. I don't see any Green Books here, which is good.
That is good, yes.
Maybe Ford v Ferrari, I don't know. But I don't think I see any Green Books here. So, but what are you thinking right now will probably win? Do you?
1917. It speaks Best Picture. It may not win anything else.
I think it's going to be between that one and The Irishman.
I don't think Parasite will win.
No.
The fact it got a nominee...
I'd love if it does. I'd love it if it wins. I wouldn't mind if 1917 wins because it is a flippin' awesome movie.
I mean, Jojo Rabbit could win. Joker could win.
Joker and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood strike me as the best spoilers.
But, you know, I don't know Jojo Rabbit, so to me, it
Now,
could be
it
the one
is-
that wins all of them. So.
It is also possible that enough people would be pissed off at Greta Gerwig's snub to push Little Women into the top. It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. See,
Yeah.
I think that I do feel like The Irishman and Joker will split the vote against each other.
Could be.
Because they have a lot of similarities. I mean, Joker takes a lot from Scorsese when it comes to that. I still need to see The King of Comedy, but I have seen Taxi Driver, and I do understand the references.
Yeah, Joker borrows heavily from Scorsese and a little bit from other directors of the era. I can see a little bit of movies like Serpico or The French Connection or things like that. But definitely Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy were very big touchstones for that film. And,
Yeah, so it's going to be Ford v Ferrari because it's the one that I'm discounting as the one that has 0 chance of winning.
yeah, that's kind of what happened last year.
But if I was to put in my all seriousness, I do feel like 1917 is going to be the winner. I know the Golden Globes are not the best predictor, but it did win at the Golden Globes. It is a strong contender. It's a World War II film, and on top of that, it's one of the better
And it
World War
gets
II
you all
films.
teary-eyed.
To me, it's one of the better World War II films since Saving Private Ryan.
How would you
I mean, World War I film. It's one of the best war films since Saving Private Ryan.
well, talking about Sam Mendes and Best Picture contenders, how would you stack this against American Beauty?
Screw that film. That's what I say about that. So, but it is well done, so I can't really I can never discount it because it is a very well done film. But I hate that film.
Do you think he has grown more as a filmmaker or Todd Phillips?
Todd Phillips has got to be the better, the higher growth as far as that's concerned. Mendes, I mean, they're both exquisite filmmakers.
Yeah.
And both have done excellent work.
Oh yeah.
But Todd Phillips, I feel like, has really grown beyond with Joker. And I do think that even if he doesn't win for Joker at this point, I feel like if he keeps going on this path, he is going to be one of the greats when it comes there. It's a matter of time. I think that the Joker was not as refined as it should have been, and many people probably hate me for that. But I do feel like the Joker is a rough version of what could be. It's a diamond in the rough.
Right.
It really is something. Once polished, I feel like Todd Phillips is going to be one of the big ones rising up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've gone a little bit over, so we're going to close out this time because I've got to get to editing and cooking, and I doubt I'll be able to get this out tomorrow, if not by Friday. So we're going to try and get things out as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm saying this because y'all have been hearing it when it's released, so I don't know who I'm talking to, but I think we've talked quite a bit about things. Do you have any final thoughts when it comes to these?
If there's anything I missed tonight, you'll probably hear about it next week. But
On the acting discussion.
well, actually, as of next week, I will at the very least have seen Missing Link and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Weathering with You. So those three will definitely give me a little more to talk about. But I do think that this is a weird freaking list. Like I said, there was some shocking little... Frozen 2 not getting an animated feature kind of shocked me. I was amazed. And a couple of the others that were left off I did mean to make a point, and I don't think I did. Scarlett Johansson's not only a double nominee, but this is her first time ever. She really did. She has deserved an Oscar nod several times over. But this is her first time ever, and she's up for 2, so that's really cool.
I do think she'll get it for Marriage Story. I really strongly believe she will. But, so out of what's coming up, just taking taking the Best Picture nominees, by Oscars, and some of these will be some of the ones that are in theaters will probably be out of theaters by the time we get there and in limbo.
Right.
Which ones of these do you feel like you're going to be able to get to see out of the ones in the Best Picture that you haven't seen yet, that you're going to be able to see by Oscar time?
Well, I will be getting Netflix so that I can see the 6 feature nominees. I think there's 6. It's The Irishman, Marriage Story, The Two Popes, American Factory, The Edge of Democracy, and what was the other one? I feel like there was another one.
There's another one somewhere.
And then there's probably some short films on Netflix. I'm going to see what short films are on Hulu before I drop it. Again, I will be getting hopefully 2 or 3 more from the library before the show, but they're so freaking early. It's hard to say. I will try to see Jojo Rabbit, but I'm not holding my breath.
Jojo Rabbit is my big one, but it's already on its way out of theaters.
I think it should be easy to find 4V Ferrari, and I might need to now that it's nominated. But they're basically, I will make a point with some of these, and not to mention some of the ones that were left out. Again, talking about missed opportunities for diversity, the other big Netflix film, My Name is Dolomite, we saw a strong possibility of Eddie Murphy for Best Actor and Ruth Carter for Costume Design, and they missed the ball on that one,
That
too.
was another one for your soundtrack.
Yeah.
That was an amazing
use of music
soundtrack.
and film, And so there were some really great missed opportunities. The Great Hack was one that you mentioned that's on Netflix. And there's, I think, another one on the short list that was on Netflix. I do have Honey Boy coming from the library, but I may or may not get it in time. We'll see. Not Honey Boy, Honeyland.
Honeyland.
Yeah.
Well,
so we'll see.
So we'll wrap up. I want to see Jojo Rabbit. I may see Little Women. I'm probably going to try and get to the theater at least once before. So we'll see what I can see.
Yep.
But that's it for our Oscar summation. So I hope you all have a pleasant evening, and we will see you on the next one. Goodbye.
Goodbye.